Today we are at the Bogey Creek Preserve, and I will take you on a walkthrough of this little loop trail. From the parking area, there's our sign, and there's our loop and our plan. Trail starts over here. Part of the North Florida Land Trust, the Bogey Creek Preserve is protected forever thanks to the generous support of the following donors and many donations from the community. The River Branch Foundation, a gift in honor of Robert R. Millam Jr., Henry and Leslie Berghoff, I think I said that name right, Dolores Barr Weaver Fund, the David Strickland family, Ed and Sherry Hicks family. So thank you to all of those who have helped to protect this land. In 1513, Juan Ponce de Leon first arrived in Florida from Spain. The Spanish arrival began a longer period of colonization, conflict, and disease in Florida. Introduced diseases brought from Europe decimated much of the native Timucua population. By the year 1700, only 1,000 Timucua people remained, and by the mid-1700s, the last living members of the tribe passed away. On May 4th, 2019, North Florida Land Trust opened Bogey Creek Preserve, its first public access nature preserve featuring 4 distinct, diverse Florida ecosystems. Bogey Creek Preserve allows visitors the chance to experience Florida's natural heritage in a state and county exhibiting unprecedented change. Bogey Creek Preserve offers a window into old Florida. That's really pretty. We are going to take a right.
Rise up this morning, smile at the rising sun. 3 little birds by my doorstep.
populated by tall pines and dense shrubs and grassy mosaic flatwoods, are the most widespread natural community in Florida. Mosaic means that the ecosystem contains a moderate amount of moisture. It is not overly wet or overly dry. Flatwoods refers to an ecosystem that requires regular fires for healthy maintenance. Out here we do have longleaf pine and saw palmetto and slash pine. Okay, when you come up to this intersection, we actually want to take the landing trail rather than continuing the loop. We want to take the landing trail, which is just going to take us out and back to and from the water. So let's go check it out. We're also in a maritime hammock forest, and characteristics of maritime hammocks are southern live oaks, which feature wide-reaching branches teeming with life. Live oaks support diverse communities of plants and animals within their branches by providing shelter and food sources to wildlife. Many species of bird use Spanish moss, which is not a moss, nor is it from Spain, to create nests within the branches of the live oaks. Eastern gray squirrels, wild turkeys, black bears, and white-tailed deers feed on the acorns. Here's an example of a live oak, and as you can see, okay, let's continue on to the water. Now this looks like a split, but it's actually just a little tiny baby loop. So we're gonna go to the right, and then we're gonna come out right here. Coastal marshes like those of the Bogey Creek Preserve are wetlands that flood and drain with the ocean tides. Coastal marshes protect surrounding areas from the impacts of harsh storms and rising sea levels. Marshes absorb intense wave action and excess water during flooding events, protecting inland areas from erosion and storm damage. Oh, this is really pretty. Nice little picnic table. And marshes also filter pollution, including herbicides, pesticides, and heavy metals, improving water quality before it reaches the ocean. Look how clear the water is. Get a nice wide view. There we go, back to normal. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about this loop. And so we came from that way. We went straight on out, did the little loop by the water. Now we came back up, and that's the way we came from. So now we're taking a right. When you have a loop trail like that there aren't intersecting trails, like this one does not. The only single intersecting trail is that landing, which brings you back to the loop, so you can't get lost. But when you're doing that and you're not sure which way to turn, when you start your hike on a loop trail, you pick a direction and stick to that direction. So when we came in, we went to the right, and when the trail intersected with the landing trail, even though it is just an out and back, we stayed to the right. And then when we came up to our next intersection, which was to get back onto our main trail, we went to the right again. And this will bring us back into our lead-in trail. And of course, you can guess it, we're gonna take a right, and that will take us back out to the parking lot. But by sticking to that direction, when you're on a trail like this, then you don't have to worry about, oh, did I take a left or right back there? This trail, where there's really nowhere else to go, it's not as big as a deal. If you had continued straight back there, you're just going to end up back at the parking lot anyways. This way, you're actually completing the loop. But we hike a lot, and you may come across trails that have lots of intersecting loops, loops within loops, loops that join up to other trails, those kinds of things. So looking at a map ahead of time, picking your direction, and then sticking to it, unless it is another lead-in trail that's intersecting yours that starts a long trail. Then really, when you're on loops and loops within of loops and the intersecting loops and the crazy figure 8 loops, all of that kind of stuff, just pick your direction. You're gonna end up back where you started. Squirrel. Could be a deer. Most likely a squirrel. It kind of scurried. That's a squirrel. There are hogs out here too. Lots of deer. But I believe that was a squirrel. I tend to hold my cell phone, which is what I'm recording on, out in front of me, and I just walk. So I'm not looking at the phone, I'm looking around. That's how sometimes I know, like, oh yeah, you might want to see this really cool tree, or oh, watch out for these roots. But I'm watching the trail in front of me to make sure I don't trip on anything. I'm looking at the stuff around me, seeing if I do spot any wildlife. So I don't know that you always get the best of the walk through a cell phone that I'm always not looking through the lens of. So I have seen it before where I view the video later and it's like, oh, I was just kind of pointing down that whole time. Hope you like looking at those leaves. Or, oh, it was kind of cockeyed. I guess I was just showing you the side of the trail. Sometimes I'll do that, but I usually say it's intentional. So my apologies if you don't always get the best out here. See, I see things like this, and I can see a defined path. And then it goes down to the water on the other side. But I see things like that, and I'm like, ooh, maybe there's some animals over there.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Baby, don't worry,
Just don't go that way. Keep going. I like that there's signage out here. Sometimes I like going in the wilderness and challenging myself by going into an area that's unmarked, unblazed, and may have off trail or a lot of intersections that really make me test my skill. I also love a well-blazed trail. Assurance markers are a beautiful thing, and you don't want to have to rely on those skills so much. And then little places like this make it really easy for beginners. So that is deer moss, which is not a moss, it's a lichen. Oh, wow. And the Timucua Foundation research did some testing and found out that the deer moss in our area, I'm gonna see if I can get a nice shot of this for you. Is sorry sorry about that, is actually a couple hundred years old plus. So when you see this on the trails, please don't pick it if it's already been uprooted, like by an animal grazing. That's one thing. Let's see, has this been uprooted? It has. So, but as you can see, I didn't pick that, it was already uprooted. Is it gonna focus for you? So yeah, they did some research, and it's a little more brittle, it's a little more hard. Like I figured it would be a bit more spongy than this, but Yeah, if you see it, just leave it. It's good food and bedding. Yes, the deer eat it, and they also use it for bedding. But I just found it pretty interesting that, you know, first of all, we call it a moss when it's a lichen. But I found it interesting that ours out here is a few hundred years old. Like, that's been sitting there untouched, thankfully, by humans and growing, and the animals use it. So definitely pretty cool. And I find that kind of stuff interesting. I like learning that kind of stuff. Be interesting what that moss has gone through in its lifetime. Think about that. 200 to 300 years ago, what was happening out here. That's pretty. That's a Christmas lichen. Wow, that's a pretty shot. Anyways, just imagine all that nature has been witness to, has gone through, has survived. Oh, there's some more of it. Well, I hear the road, so we're probably getting close back to the lead-in. But I'll keep this going so you can enjoy nature with me this morning. And in case anything else interesting comes along. Oh, it's a lizard. He was too fast to catch on my phone for you. I got just a little glimpse of him. Swampy area. Over there, that's water. Can you see that it's water? That's cool. Reflection of itself into the water. Okay, onward we go. That's cool. Okay, so as you can see, the trail goes that way. That's the loop. We actually came in from here. This is the lead-in trail. And at this intersection, we took a right. We went all the way around, and then to the water, all the way back up. So now we're keeping with our theme, and that is proof that we're going to the right. about those knees. Oh. So here they are, right in the center, and that is a opportunity. Tripping hazards, and they are just kind of everywhere. Near this cypress swamp. If we're lucky, maybe we'll see something. Not gonna focus for me, huh? That's okay. That's all right. I like how our ground was different out here. We're in this sandy section. We had leaves. We had hard dirt path. All right. And we've made it out. Parking area. Congratulations. Thanks for walking with us this morning. Hope you enjoyed your tour of Bogey Creek Preserve.